Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I wanted to go through all of the retro consoles that I picked up in 2024. And I think it's important because we'll probably start to see the cost of retro hardware continue to go up just because we're starting to see more and more breakdowns in older consoles. A lot of these consoles are 10, 15, 20, 30, 35 years old. And as more and more of these break down and less people are interested in repairing them, there's just less of them in the market, and it's just driving up the cost. I believe in maintaining old school hardware from my collection. I'm not interested in collecting every single system, but I do think that there are some systems that are important for me for the games that I want to play. So I'll go through all of the retro pickups that I got in 2024 now, starting with this original PlayStation. So one of the big factors that drew me into picking up this PlayStation was the condition. When I found this PlayStation, it was in really pretty much like new condition. A lot of times with these PlayStation consoles, there's a lot of discoloration and scratching and things like that. And pretty much all of the dust that you see is just the dust that it's kind of built up from just sitting down here in the game room. But even when you look at the bottom of the console, it's in pretty good condition. But one of the biggest reasons why I decided to pick this PlayStation 1 up is for what you see right there. This is actually a PAL region PlayStation 1 console. And I've always wanted to get into import PlayStation games. I've definitely been interested in like some of the Japanese PlayStation 1 games, but even more so, I've been interested in some of the PAL PlayStation 1 games, just because I don't have to worry about translation and things like that. And there were some interesting games that came out in Europe. So when I picked this up, I was able to actually pick up a game that I'd been interested in for quite some time, and that's Rapid Reload. And I've talked about Rapid Reload in a number of videos. This was a really great pickup. This PlayStation only cost me about 20 bucks, 25 bucks, I think. I got this at a thrift store, so definitely was a no-brainer for me. It came with all the plugins and one controller. Everything was in like 8 out of 10 condition. So I went ahead and snagged that. Glad that I picked it up. Next up is this fat PlayStation 2. Now, believe it or not, I probably picked up or ran into about 4 different PlayStation 2 consoles of this model. I picked up 4 fat PlayStation 2s this year, and I've sold 2 of them. No, 3 of them. At first I was going to keep 2, but then I realized I didn't need 2 fat PlayStation 2s plus a PlayStation 2 Slim plus a complete in box PlayStation 2, because that would have meant me having like 5 PlayStation 2s. That's dumb at that point. But I did keep one, and the one that I kept was actually the one that was the most quiet of all the PlayStation 2 consoles that I have. I've been considering modding this PlayStation 2. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet. But every PlayStation 2 that I found at the thrift store as well. And they all averaged around 35 bucks. So that's how much I found them for. Like some were like 30, some were 40, some were like, 25. So I kind of just average it around 30 to 35 on average was how much I found these for. The funny part about this is that when it came to these consoles that I found, the thrift store that I picked these up from, I don't know if the employees can tell the difference in like generation between like the different PlayStation generations, like PS2, PS3, PS4. A lot of times they'll bundle like a PS3 console, a PS3 controller with the PlayStation 2, or they'll bundle like a PlayStation 4 controller. They usually bundle like PlayStation 4 controllers with these PS2s. So for me, it's a really good deal because for 35 bucks, I'm getting like a PlayStation 4 controller and a PS2 console. I already have a bunch of PS2 controllers because I'm always finding like random PS2 controllers in the wild for like 5 or 6 bucks. So I'm never really worried if I just find the console because I know I'm always going to have a controller to pair it with. But I had a lot of luck this year finding these, and selling, I'll either sell the console by itself and recoup some money, or I'll sell the controller by itself because I don't need it and recoup some money, and then keep the part of the bundle that I actually want to keep, which is typically the console. When it came to the consoles that I sold, with some of those, I actually wound up keeping the controllers in the collection, which was actually a pretty good deal. So these were really great finds. I'm a huge fan of the PS2. I've actually picked up some gnarly PS2 games throughout the year, so was glad to add that to the collection. Then the PS3. So I actually found a PS3 Slim. Usually I find about 3 to 4 of these a year at the thrift store. Usually they'll have about 3 to 4 of these every year. Like pretty much since like 2020, these, I mean, you could easily find these and they usually sit. But what I noticed in 2023 was that these PS3 models were not sitting anymore. These actually have been flying off the shelf at the thrift store. And, you know, the thrift store that I go to, sometimes the sticker price will have a crazy price, but depending on the color and what the color, like the discount that the color correlates to, usually it's a sweet deal. In this case, I was actually able to pick this PS3 up for 40 bucks. And the cool thing about this pickup, if I'm not mistaken, is that this one actually came with a camouflage PS5 controller, which I know that camo PS5 controller is one, I think at one point it was sought after. I don't know if it is now. So that was a really sweet deal because that PS5 controller goes for about 50 bucks or so. And these PS3s are starting to go up in price, man. They're just starting to go up in value. The cool thing is that with this one, this PS3 actually had a lot of really cool PS1 games downloaded to it. Tomba, Klonoa, like some really good PS1 games, but I don't think I was able to access it, if I'm not mistaken, because it was asking me to sign in. I can't remember. If I'm not able to access it, then I'll just go ahead and wipe this one. But I was actually glad to get this model. I actually dig this model. I do have the original like fat PS3, but that PS3 sometimes gives me a little bit of an issue. I'm not gonna lie. So, and I know these systems can be temperamental. So having a backup, in my opinion, is just good. And I've had this model before and I've sold it. I decided to keep this and I kept the PlayStation 5 controller. So that was a really good pickup for about 40 bucks. Wasn't mad at it at all. Definitely went ahead and added that one to the collection. Then moving down here, this was one of the more recent pickups. This is a backwards compatible Nintendo Wii. It does have the capability of playing the GameCube games. As you can see, it's got the slots for the GameCube memory card there, along with the ports for the GameCube controller. I like these Nintendo Wii consoles just for their backwards compatibility feature. And you could do a lot with them. I have one in white, which is my original Wii. And then I found actually another backwards compatible Wii, which I kept. I kept both because both had some really cool, the two Wiis that I have, both of them had some really cool games downloaded to them. And that's the thing I like about the Wii. With the difference between the Wii and the PlayStation 3, with the Wii, if you pick up a Wii that had games downloaded to it, you don't have to sign in to play them. You could just play them. That's really cool. With the PlayStation, it's different. You got to sign in. They want to hold the games back from you. It's whack like that. But anyway, picked this one up and kept it in the collection. This one came with 2 Wii remotes, 2 nunchucks, all the hookups. And this was around 55 bucks for this one. The reason why I picked this one up was because when I picked it up, this one actually had a copy of Wii Sports Resort in it. So that added some really great value to it. As a matter of fact, that Wii Sports Resort got me about $24 of trade-in credit at GameStop, surprisingly. So when you subtract the $24 from this, it's about a $30 pickup for a backwards compatible Wii. Not a bad deal, not the best deal. I've actually done better with Wiis. I actually picked up a Wii at a church yard sale this year, but that one was not backwards compatible, and the Wii remotes actually were kind of gross. But I picked it up for 10 bucks, so that was really cool. I actually used that as trade bait to get some other stuff. So, but really cool pickup there. This one was added to the collection. Psyched about that. This was one of my favorite console pickups of the year. This is the original Xbox. I had never owned an original Xbox prior to picking this one up. And this one that I picked up was truly in like new condition, just very, very good condition. There wasn't like a speck of dust on the inside of it. It works like a charm, fires up, boots up, no issues. I had been tempted throughout the year to spend money on other Xbox consoles and try to pick up some used ones. But every time I picked up like a used one and plugged it in, I would see like this yellow ring around here. And when I looked that up, the yellow ring is a no-no. You definitely don't want to pick up an Xbox if it has that yellow ring. It's pretty much the equivalent of the red ring of death on the Xbox 360. So I left those behind, and glad that I picked this one up. Like I said, this one was in like new condition. It actually came with the box. There goes the box right there. Was glad to find this one and add it to the collection. And it's really just opened me up to some really good Xbox original games. I had slept on the the original Xbox, but there are some really cool games for the system. Not a ton. Like I'm not gonna have hundreds of Xbox games, but I could see about 10 or 15 games, a solid 10 to 15 games staying in my collection for the Xbox. I probably won't go over that because that's probably the amount of games that interest me for this console. But those 10, 15, or 15 games do make it worth it to own one. So I was glad to add this one to the collection. This was actually part of a trade. So I traded in a bunch of games to a local store. Didn't come out of pocket, but the trade value was $200 for this game. And it also came with, I think they threw in a game with it for me. I think it was The Suffering. So that was a good deal. Never came up out of pocket, but still a really good pickup. Okay, then we got a handheld here. So a handheld, and mind you, you'll notice a theme like with all these consoles, all of them were in really great condition. I would say 8 out of 10 condition. I would give the Xbox a 9 out of 10 just because it was in like new. And then here goes another really good condition pickup. So I picked up this Nintendo the Game Boy Advance SP. Picked this one up mainly because of condition. It came with its original charger, and both the console and the charger were in excellent condition. Again, this one to me, easily a 9 out of 10. When I first picked it up, it's not a reshell. It actually has its original shell. And when you look at the back, a lot of times I look at the back here just to kind of see the type of wear and tear that's on the sticker. But if you look at the sticker here, I mean, next to zero wear and tear. So this was really just donated by someone who probably got this for their child and never, like the child either never played it or played it maybe once or twice and then just kind of tucked it away. It did come with the game. I can't remember what the game was because I wound up trading that game away or including it in a trade. But this was a very good pickup. Was glad to find this. So you've seen this this Advance SP in a couple of my videos with a price tag on it of $250. That store was definitely smoking. Someone was smoking some strong stuff when they decided to price this at $250, but it was not that amount. It was actually discounted that day at 75% off, which is still pretty high for an SP. But I would say, given the condition, it was worth it to me. I actually had an SP. I had a red one, but that one was torn. Like, it wasn't in good condition. This was all yellow. This back sticker was all kind of like, looked like someone chewed on it. I'm a stickler for condition, so this was a very good condition upgrade for me. Was glad to add that. And then the last retro console pickup of 2024 was this bad boy. I actually recently picked this up yesterday. Probably the pickup of the year, to be quite honest with you. This Sega CDX. I mean, man, this is a grail for me. Super stoked to pick this up. One of my local retro game stores got this in as a trade-in from someone who collected Sega consoles, and I had to snag it. I actually wound up trading in a good chunk of games to get this. I did not want to pay out of pocket for this. These consoles go for anywhere between, $380 to $600, just depending on condition, if it's complete, if it has all the hookups. The power adapter for the Sega CDX is unlike any other Sega power adapter. You can't just like use like a Genesis power adapter with this, or like a, even like the power adapters that come with the other model Sega CDs, you can't. There's a very specific power adapter that comes with this one, and you never really want to mess with the power adapters because that could burn out fuses and things like that. So I learned that actually the hard way with the Dreamcast. But anyway, was glad because this one did come with all the components and everything like that. They wanted $450 for this one. I traded in about $360 worth of video games. So I only wound up paying about $100 out of pocket for this one, Was stoked to get this and add it to the collection. And this is just gonna make playing all of my Sega CD games so much more easy than the whole clunky scenario that I had before. Space, I'm always thinking about space. So adding this was like truly a pleasure. If you look at the bottom, you know, the bottom label, everything is in really great shape. I mean, this is a very old console. We're talking 1994 here. So, I mean, 30 years ago, for a 30-year-old console, this was kept in really great shape, top-notch shape. Was glad to add this one to the collection. And those, for the most part, are the retro console pickups for 2024. I did have other console pickups. Obviously, I got the PlayStation 5, but that's not retro. And it's been a good year. I mean, a lot of these I got, you know, underpriced, didn't have to break the bank. And for the most part, these were all thrift store and secondhand store pickups. So the thrift stores did good by me this year.